The fall season was the beast I just could not wrangle. Between 2 vacations, the holidays, and my weekly 18 hours of football, I fell behind on seasonal anime and never really caught up. I watched Komi, Ranking of Kings, and Blue Period, sure, but completely whiffed on the second tier of shows I usually fill my time with. So I pushed this video further and further back, telling myself I wanted to experience the season's openings in their natural habitats, that I'd watch more of these shows as soon as I wasn't as busy. But at the end of the day, I was just procrastinating, and was so good at that I made 5 other videos in the meantime. There is some truth here though. I was procrastinating, as I did just about anything I could to put off making this video because I knew it'd take me far too long and there's a lot of other stuff I want to do. It's kinda crazy I've been doing these for 4 years now, but the unfortunate reality of them is they take me as much as 6 weeks to complete sometimes, and have far lower returns than a lot of the one-off videos on the channel. If you just take a look at the last 10 or so videos I've uploaded, Summer 2021 OPs has the second fewest views, and as of this writing, it's barely outpacing a video about Ida 10, a show nobody watched. And while I love these videos, if I'm going to spend over a month on one thing, I would want it to be more meatier, like the Naruto Shippuden OP retrospective I did back in 2020, not just more work due to extra runtime. So you may notice that this video is a bit shorter than the rest of its 2021 brethren, because I made the decision to rein myself in for the time being, in the interest of still being able to even make these, while also not exhausting myself in the process. Moving forward, I'd like to keep these somewhere inside the 20s, but we'll see about that. For those of you who really enjoyed the deep dives and the extra length, I'm sorry if I've let you down, but hopefully I can make it up to you with more videos in the future. And if you've never watched one of these before and you're somehow still here, well, sorry for the delay. Now that we got the depressing stuff out of the way, honorable mentions. A solid 6 openings get our final honorable spots of 2021, with a full spectrum of show quality on display. Tesla Note was a rich man's X-Arm, but it has a surprisingly well put together and artistic opening when it's not showing off its CG models. Build Divide Code Black features an absolute banger from Egoist, while Platinum End pairs its incredibly bland visuals with a new Bandmaid song that I've been listening to repeatedly since it was released. Mugen Train is the only real disappointment here, as I was really expecting something spectacular, something equivalent to the quality of the arc, and while it is technically impressive, it's missing real heart. Which for a TV rehashing of a film, I guess I get it. The song is solid, but a pretty pedestrian effort from an artist as great as Lisa, and it's also startlingly dull with much of its visuals. All in all though, it's still better than MHA's last effort, which is certainly not a high bar. Now I didn't touch on it during my sob story intro, but fall is a far more sturdy season than summer was. There's a lot more quality across the board than the maybe 3 summer openings that you'll see once I finish the 2021 year-end list. In fact, it was so deep that after complaining about video length, I'm still doing a top 14. I said I was trying to be more sane, not that I was sane. But as is sometimes the case, while the season is deep, the top isn't nearly as strong as our last 2 batches. There are some really great openings to close out the year, but only one that's maybe an all-timer status like Ida 10 or Odd Taxi was. However, that doesn't make this season anywhere near a disappointment, and you'll see why in a second as we go through the best anime openings of fall 2021. I have a soft spot for World Trigger's openings because they're faced with the Herculean task of showing off the roughly 300 characters this show has. This of course makes the last couple seasons' openings have extreme late-stage shonen brain, and as we've seen recently, that can quickly ruin an opening. Luckily, they know exactly how to handle it in a compelling way, and it hits even if you don't know what any of the scenes are referencing. The song is the star of the show, though, with some incredibly pleasing guitar chords supporting Shusaku Yanagita's vocals. I particularly like the chorus backing vocals when they go, yeah, yeah, with the band. Kamiwa Saikoro wo Furanai adds yet another catchy tune to their ever-growing discography. Also, in a fun twist, they released a 2021 single with summer's #1 artist Tatsuya Kitani, because everything I talk about in these videos are somehow connected. Regardless, World Trigger has a solid shonen opening in an era where that is becoming increasingly rare. See, this is what I mean when I say this season is super deep. We have a Frederick song all the way at 13. Now this is an odd loop or Kanashi Urashi level, and that contributes to its spot outside the top 10, but I will never turn down New Frederick. Still, in this case, this wouldn't have been good enough on its own to power it out of honorable mentions, so luckily they came loaded for bear with colorful visuals. There are only about 4 distinct shot types in the entire thing, but hey, it's something. This part in particular is very pretty. It does take a hit for the true lack of variety in a chorus that, well, you're looking at the entirety of it right now, but for a show that very few people will wind up watching, this is a very valiant effort. Every season there's exactly one isekai that has a far too stylish opening, and it usually ends up around here on the list. Fall 2021's is The World's Finest Assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat, and it manages to stand out by severely limiting its color palette. Black and white will always look impressive if it's done well, and it's only enhanced by some very pretty shot compositions. The colors pop when actually used, and it nails the character silhouette cliche at the end. I like the song well enough, and it's a genre of pop that has become increasingly widespread amongst these types of shows the last couple of years. For Yui Ninomiya, it's certainly a step up from performing the opening of Peter Grill. As a whole, it's extremely easy for fantasy and isekai shows to default for a bland and uninspired style, so I'm glad they clearly put a lot of work into making this opening stand out in all facets. It doesn't quite hold up against the best of the best, but it's still top 12 for a reason. Man, it does not feel right that this is at 11. Fall had a lot of catchy songs, but Everblue was easily one of the best. Coming in hot with that piano line, and a chorus fit for the dance floor. The song comes to us from J-Rock trio Omoi no Take and is their first foray into television anime. They've got a pretty thick discography going back to their major debut in 2015, and I think Everblue is a pretty good indication of their sound. Even if overall that sound is probably a bit softer than the blaring horns of Everblue's chorus. A really nice smooth synth piano sound that lends well to ballads as much as bangers. As for Blue Period, for a show about artistic expression, its visuals are fairly tame. I really like the aesthetic of the comic book panels, but it doesn't do as much as I would have liked with it. And it's not quite crisply synced with the music either. The walking segments are pretty and link well with the show, but have aggressive ED vibes. I think the watercolor palette is enough to support this song, but we certainly could have gotten something a bit more artsy. My 2 favorite shows from fall coming in at 10 and 11 certainly feels very weird, but these 2 openings are linked by a simple commonality. The songs are far better than the visuals. It's honestly astonishing that WIT got King New for this opening considering the absolute heater they have been on for the last couple years now. Pumping out consistent top 10 hits and a 2020 album that went double platinum in Japan and sold over 1 million units worldwide. They also did the theme for the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie if you want to know how in demand they are at the moment, and frontman Daiki Tsuneta's side project Millennium Parade produced the main theme for Bell, alongside singer Kaho Nakamura. They're insanely popular at the moment, and it's easy to see why. With their flexible alternative sound able to adapt to really any mood or tempo, while Satoru Uguchi's distinct voice makes them instantly recognizable. Fits firmly into the more slick section of their sound, a bit further away from some of the more guitar-forward tracks, like Hikote or Ichizu that are my personal favorites. The full version of Boy does have a ripping guitar solo though. Uguchi's vocals are the real focus here, with co-vocalist Tsuneta not even making a major appearance. The clean string production and occasional isolated guitar lick are simply there to provide support for his voice. It's a very skillfully crafted song, and I don't see King New's meteoric rise stopping anytime soon. As far as the part of this opening contributed by our friends at WIT Studio, I'll touch on the visuals briefly because they're fine. I just don't really like all the walking. Consider, for a moment, if instead of opening visuals while I talked, I just showed you this on repeat for the entire section. Maybe changed up the background a bit. And I understand that Walking Ever Forward fits with the themes of the show, the lyrics of the song, and Boji's character, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. Clearly they were saving all of their cool ideas for opening 2, but that's for another time. The Daida shot is nice, the puddle shot is pretty cool, please watch this show. On to the single digits. This is by far the weirdest opening from Fall, but we'll get to that in a second. Did you guys know that they got legendary dance and house producer Toa Te to not only do this opening, but the ED and the entire show's soundtrack? I know no one watching this has any memory or idea about late 80s, early 90s house music, but Tay was a member of the group D-Light, whose 1990 single Groove Is in the Heart topped the US dance charts and peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. I can say, with almost certainty, that Tay is the first artist I have ever highlighted in any of these videos who has a number 1 hit in the US. Did I mention D-Light had 6 number 1 dance hits in the US? So anyway, this is really cool. Alpha is smooth as butter and he clearly has not lost any production skills in the past 30 years. But the song also benefits from this channel's personal favorite opening technique, dancing. And pretty much only dancing. The background and Jojo's color swaps are very nice, but this is very much end of Bayonetta levels of display. Sure, Johnny pops in every once in a while, but Casey is the focus of the camera about 80% of the time. It's nothing if not unique, and with a killer song that'll easily land you inside the top 10. Speaking of unique, we have our second Chinese opening of 2021, except instead of tightly produced alternative, this time, it's opera. Similar to Link Click in Spring, this show was simulcasting on Funimation, which is why I can include it on this list. I have this legally available arbitrary rule to keep me sane, and it's also why a very popular Chinese opening you may have seen on Twitter will not be making an appearance on this list. It might get its own video though, no promises. Our song comes from Chinese singer Liao Jialin, whose name I definitely mispronounced and I'm sorry for that. He's a formally trained and award-winning opera singer who briefly went viral over here in 2016 with a Chinese folk cover of Adele's Rolling in the Deep. He's insanely talented vocally, and that definitely comes through during the chorus of this song. A lot of the reason this is as high as it is, though, are those crazy, clean visuals. It's nothing out of the box structurally, a bunch of setup shots followed by a fight scene, but it's all polished to a stylistic shine. The setup has plenty of intrigue and beautiful shots, while the free-flowing camera and much of the fight scene will surely make even the best digital animator blush a little bit. It's not as out of this world as Link Click was, but it's certainly still a pretty special experience. If this is going to become the norm for the ever-increasing number of Chinese shows we're getting in the West, I might need to start an entirely new video series. Until then, Arrival can comfortably live here at 8. Muteking's opening legitimately caught me off guard. It's colorful and crazy, sure, but this song is by Orange Range, a name that probably won't mean much to you if you're under the age of, like, 28. But they were one of the most prolific Japanese rap rock groups of the early 2000s. I was hyping up King Gnu earlier for selling 1 million copies of their latest album. Orange Range's second album, Music Q, sold 2.6 million and was the best-selling album in Japan in 2005. Or if you want a more applicable metric, we're talking about a band that in its prime did music for Naruto and Bleach. They were true heavy hitters, and it warms my heart to see that they're still making music over 20 years later. Now this song is what I would describe as a fun little ditty, and they wrote it specifically for this show, so it's not really representative of their OG sound, but I do think it's a nice fit for this opening, even if the xylophone is very funny. But similar to Immortal King, the song is not why this is here. Muteking is easily one of the most creative openings of fall. With the 8-bit transition and the DDR section, two of the best things on this list. The backgrounds are psychedelic and bursting with color, and the whole thing is just having enormous amounts of fun. Unfortunately, the second half couldn't quite keep up with the style, dragging out the DJ section and then slapping Muteking's CGI face all over our screen. It never really recovers from there, and the unique stylistic choices of the first half are mostly lost. Muteking has the makings of a true top 5 opening. It does do things I've truly never seen before. but it stumbles enough towards the end to force me to place it a bit further down. It's a great effort, just not a top 5 one. Lupin III! Woo! Yuji Ono and the boys got back in the studio and absolutely crushed the new recording of a classic. There's not really much for me to say here other than that Ono is a god king of jazz music and he's never missed. This is obviously just the Lupin theme, but also that means it's the Lupin theme, so 10 out of 10. It's matched with visuals that make you feel like a gentleman thief, and also prominently feature Fujiko, so again, 10 out of 10. In all seriousness, it really does do a good job of capturing the essence of those older Lupin openings, even throwing in those still frames for each of the lads, while also doing enough to differentiate itself despite having the same song. Transitions on lock, colors on point, and everybody who's not the inspector looks very cool. Obviously nostalgia can only get you so far, but I'm not going to say anything bad about Lupin on the internet because I do not want to be scared for my life. The opening is good, we're moving on. No matter what you say. Okay, so this is starting to get uncanny. Apparently Fall's overarching theme is songs by living legends. Masaki Endo has been singing anime and tokusatsu openings since the late 90s. If you've spent any amount of time watching older anime or any tokusatsu, you've almost certainly heard his voice at some point. In fact, I can basically confirm you have, but we'll get to that in a minute, because he's even more well known as a member of the anison group Jam Project. And I don't use mega group lightly here, as even for all the fame Endo has, he's not even the most iconic member of Jam Project, as Hironobu Kagayama is this guy, and Hiroshi Kitadani is this guy. But on the bright side, you will probably recognize Endo as this guy. And also of the three, he's the only one whose solo career is still going strong, as we can see from his wonderfully energetic romp in SAKUGAN's opening. He's definitely still got those classic anime vocals, but it doesn't feel dated, helped by horns that know when to support his booming voice and when to blow your face off. Nothing supports Endo's effort here better though than the visuals, feeding my never-ending transition hunger throughout basically the entire thing. Every section here scratches a little bit of a different itch, with that absolute slammer of a title sequence setting the tone and even the more musically reserved chorus maintaining a high level of quality. Hey look, it's the first Promised Neverland opening. They also do their best to integrate the credits directly into the opening, which I always appreciate. I also really like the giant Promare danger blocks too. There's really nothing here that I can point to as a major sticking point. Maybe that a lot of the structure is just pretty character shots, but I think it just says more about the openings above this that this peaks out at only number 5. I still haven't watched this yet, so I hope you're all happy with me spoiling myself for your enjoyment. This was neck and neck with SAKUGAN for this spot, but I gave it to 86 because I am biased and I really like Amazarashi. And if you hear that and go, oh yeah, that's the My Hero Academia band, I will get very upset. I was a bit worried after their MHA opening that since their music generally fits an ED vibe most of the time, they'd continue to get shortchanged when it came to openings. And yeah, that happened. So it is admittedly very nice to see them in an OP for the first time since 2017. Hiromu Ukita remains an S-tier songwriter and guitarist, and while Manami Toyokawa's keyboard isn't as front and center as in their other hits, it still builds that almost eerie sound the beginning of the song has. Akita's vocals are some of the most recognizable for me in the business, up there with Kenshi Yonezu, and looking back, it's honestly astonishing the talent MHA pulled for that second season. This song is very good, the amount of emotion they're able to convey in their music is astonishing, and please, more shows, pay them to make music for you, I'm begging you. The opening itself falls more in line with the clean execution crew than the creative crew, but looking very beautiful helps you get away with that. The show has always been blunt with its themes, and that does not change in the side-by-side shots. They get a little too character shotty for a second, but all is forgiven because the chorus is just very cool. I don't know, I'm just a sucker for shots like this, man. And you know, it's about to get serious when they whip out the red spider lilies. I do wish it kept its visual energy all the way through the ending, but given what I now know about the state of this production, the slow pans are perfectly fine if it got us the rest of this animation. It ends with a bang too, so honestly, all in all, It's a very good opening. I don't want to get hit with a copyright claim. This is my favorite song of fall. I have listened to it legitimately over 100 times since it dropped. It is maybe the best song of the year, and I really planned on making this #1 when I started this process. This absolute slapper comes courtesy of Cider Girl, and would you have guessed I've been a fan of them for a while. I even shouted them out back in the summer 2020 video, so if you weren't anticipating this OP, that's your fault, not mine. But if you do like Cinderella, you will like their music. They describe it as a rush of carbonated bubbles, and it's upbeat, fun, and guitar forward, but they don't hesitate to liven up their mix. That's part of what makes Cinderella my favorite song from them now. It's got all the staples, but also great horns in the chorus, those strings to transition, and what I think is a keyboard or synth in that dance hook, but I honestly cannot tell. It could be a wacky distorted guitar, I don't know. The song just feels like taking a sip of your favorite bubbly beverage, and it livens me up every time. It's also a song that was luckily crafted into an outstanding opening. Komi-san is pretty much the upper extent of what you can achieve with a more traditionally structured style. It's a normal baseline opening that's removed its weighted clothing. That isn't a knock on Komi-san, it's simply an observation. This opening is very, very pretty, but it's not exactly trying to get weird. And it doesn't need to, capturing the spirit of the show perfectly while also making sure Komi looks great in every scene. It even earns bonus points for making the characters sing the lyrics. The phone aesthetic is nice, the transitions are all clean, and you've definitely seen the Komi eyes on the timeline. It's crispy from top to bottom, with the colors absolutely leaping off the screen when they're not purposely muted, and the Kaneki is my favorite part. I really could have put this at #1 and had a decent argument for it, and maybe it is #1 in my heart. But there were still 2 other openings that my brain thought were a little bit better. So this opening was a surprisingly popular choice on Twitter for not only the best opening of fall, but the best of 2021. As you can, well, see, I don't entirely agree with that. But that's a formality. This is a fantastic opening. I think cast songs add an extra layer of synchronicity to an opening, but when they're not implemented well into the whole package, they can often just leave me cold on the entire thing. You know, since my big boy brain can't get excited about a band I like. My Senpai is Annoying toes a very thin line between music video and anime opening, and I think comes out better for it. There's the big Futaba chorus, but it's not all just characters singing on screen the entire time. This helps the animation not need to shoehorn characters into certain sections, and the song to be more of a quartet instead of 4 solos smushed together. It's no surprise to anyone at this point that all 4 of the Seiyu have wonderful voices, because you basically have to sing if you're a Seiyu. But as hard as it is to sing at a professional level, it's even harder to sing at a professional level while also portraying a character. I will never not be impressed by this. Futaba's VA Tomori Kusunoki actually already did a quartet ED earlier in this year for Wonder Egg Priority, and Sayori Hayami is Sayori Hayami. She's done more of these than you can count, and if Kusunoki is the star, I'd say Hayami is the anchor. Natsumi's VA Reina Aoyama is the newbie here, as this is only her 3rd ever voice role, and it is admittedly very funny that Komi's VA Aoi Koga is part of this quartet. Or if you prefer, you can imagine Kaguya singing instead. However, the reason you've heard so much about this on socials is not because of the song, it's because they went absolutely wild with the visuals. The intro's YouTube video aesthetic grabbed me immediately, and this is probably my favorite 2 seconds of the entire season. Hey look, it's the exact editing software I'm using right now. The middle section isn't as creative, but it syncs up with the song well enough, and I particularly like when shows do a virtual change-up of the video source. Here, even complete with the vertical video. But what's surprisingly great about much of Senpai's OP is the way that they constantly change up the shot type and transitions. You'll get a quick cut, a fade, some still frames, and then a longer, more detailed shot. It helps to keep you engaged when a lesser show would simply pan across a frame. The icing on the cake here is then the chorus, complete with My Kryptonite choreographed dancing. Futaba is adorable, the song is in full swing, and it's animated to perfection. I may think there is one opening that's better than this from fall, but honestly, if you don't, then I can't really blame you. Nah, I'm just kidding, this isn't an anime. If it was, I would praise it for making me like an Imagine Dragons song for the first time since I was in high school, and probably place it around 4 or 5. Anyway. Right when it seemed like the top of this list had finally been solidified, JoJo's returned to reclaim its crown. I, somewhat notoriously, do not really like Part 5's openings, at least comparatively to the rest of the series. So I was cautiously optimistic about Stone Ocean's, even after it was clear that the CG was coming back. So I cannot tell you how happy this entire opening makes me. You do not understand how excited I am to get to talk about Kishida Kyodan and the Akaboshi Rockets. I just love them so much, and despite doing multiple openings for fairly popular shows, I still feel like they're relatively unknown in my circles at least. So I am begging you, if you do not know this band, please go right now and listen to the High School of the Dead opening and then also the rest of their songs. And unfortunately, that is all I'm going to talk about this band, because as much as I want to spend more time talking about how their guitarist Hayapi is some sort of golden guitar god, this is not one of their songs. It's their vocalist's, Ichigo. And while she's listed here as Ichigo from Kishida Kyodan and the Akaboshi Rockets, I could not find any supporting info on if the full band helped her with this song, and I'm guessing they didn't, or else it would have just been listed as one of the band's songs. So that's enough adjacent information. This is Ichigo's song. And while Ichigo obviously can translate to strawberry in Japanese, she actually chose the stage name after Ichigo, the main character of Bleach. And if that isn't worthy of the #1 spot, I do not know what is. Actually, no, I've got one more thing. She's a massive JoJo's fan, and back in 2016, tweeted that she would want to sing the opening for a Stone Ocean adaptation. That's just incredible. An absolutely legendary called shot. As far as the song she waited nearly 6 years to create goes, it's nearly perfect. It's an Akaboshi Rockets song on steroids with a twist. It's such a pure rock song with just guitar, bass, and drums all the way through. The call and response section is great, and I'm sure will be even better during the JoJo's live concerts. And as a staunch Chase defender, you know I love that guitar intro. It carries its energy all the way through, and I don't know, I just feel like it oozes Jolene, if that makes any sense. Part of that is probably because the visuals do, as Kamikaze Doga are back with their bold and beautiful brand of CGI animation. Animation that is what truly elevates this to its #1 spot. It uses its unique position of having CG models to direct the opening almost like an actual film, simulating 3D space and just whipping the camera all throughout it. This then allows them to create the illusion of speed and manage scene transitions in a way that I can hardly fathom. I wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat thinking about the rotating Jotaro segment into the CD wipe. It all flows so well together, and the opening does not hard cut until the last couple of shots. The entire thing is seamless, and I think it may have set a new high bar for transitions. All the beautiful color swaps are appreciated, but par for the course for this series, and do a great job of changing up the background even if the camera didn't exactly need all that help anyway. Then the chorus is an absolute stunner of a stand set piece, and it completely puts Fighting Gold to shame. I don't think they can go back to the non-3D openings after this. Even if Great Days is my favorite, Stone Ocean is just too creative, too next level to go back to that archaic 2D. As I always say, anime openings are true works of art, and this one right here is a doozy. JoJo's is back. JoJo's CG openings are back, and the best JoJo's opening since Part 4 is firmly my #1 opening of fall 2021. Hey everybody, thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking with me while I got this out in February 2022. I kind of explained it in the intro, but these OP videos were becoming more and more work, and while I still love researching and writing them, editing a 40-minute video was slowly killing me. I have a lot of video ideas, and I don't want to be bogged down on one for too long. And I also unfortunately don't even have the time to multitask and produce more than one at the same time. So here we are talking about fall in the middle of winter. But while I was working on this, we officially hit 2,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for that from the bottom of my heart. And hopefully we'll only keep going up from here. And a good way to make that growth exponential, and maybe light a fire under me to get these done quicker, is if you enjoyed this video, share it with somebody or somewhere you think others would enjoy it. It's easily the best way to help the channel. Moving forward, you'll get best openings of 2021 next, followed by winter 2022's video, probably sometime in early spring. Until then, if you want to keep updated on what I'm doing, you can follow me on Twitter or join the Discord, links in the description. And if you want to be the first to see new videos, hit that subscribe button, and like as well. I've also been streaming a bit more on Twitch while I torture myself with Halo on Legendary, but I've already asked you to do about 7 different things, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys again for all of your support the past few years, and here's to a great 2022.